this case, I could use my handy-dandy jar lifters, but since I don't have to submerge them into the water bath, well, I might as well just set them in here. I mean, it's kind of silly, but let me go ahead and put them in here. And I'm only going to do 4 at a time, so I'll just evenly space them, because I can't do all of them at one time, so I might as well just do it in 2 equal batches. Fortunately, it is a little, unfortunately, it is a little time consuming. It's going to take 1 hour and 15 minutes. But as I have mentioned before, you know, if you got to be in a hurry, you know, to do this kind of thing, you really don't have time to do it. So now I'm going to turn this lid until I cannot pull it any further. And that sucker is on there. It's just locked into place. Okay, you want to be looking at this vent here in the top. Now, right now, it's intermittently releasing steam. You want that to get hot to the point where you see it's constantly emitting steam before you put your temperature control on top of this vent. Okay, this might be kind of elusive in this video, but you want to make sure that that steam, if you can see it, is constantly coming out of there for at least 10 minutes. It's going to have to be a constant stream of steam coming out, and once it does, you'll want to put the heat control on there. What we're going to do is we're going to take the regulator and we're going to put it on the 10-pound setting in this case, and I mean it's really going. And what we want is we're going to have it to where it starts jiggling 4 times a minute, once every, 15 seconds is what that's going to amount to. So we got to let that pressure build up, and it'll start lifting this weight, but setting it down, and that's once every 15 seconds. And then you'll know that the heat is set according to what it should be for the next 75 minutes, 1 hour and 15 minutes. I tell you, it's very finite, so you're going to really have to do some little fine-tuned turning on your burner. So I turned it up just a hair more. And then we'll wait and see if it does it again. It sounds like it's building up to it. It's starting to sputter. Let's see if it doesn't do the jiggle. Come on. There it's jiggling. There we go. That's what we want. Now it's got to do that every 15 seconds. There we go. Okay, the lid's been removed, and the jars are taken out. If you notice, they are still boiling even after 45 minutes after it's been cut off. But they're going to go ahead and seal. We're not going to wait around for the popping noise. I've already had 2 of them do it. And now I have 1 more batch to do, but that's pretty much the idea. Well, you'll see the difference in the characteristics when you've taken these jars out of the bath, out of the pressure cooker. You'll notice, one, is that the fluids will always be at the top, and the solid ingredients will have been pushed to the bottom, and you'll see a clear separation between the ingredients, and then you'll notice what oils or fats that have been left in the soup will actually be at the very top. And even though these have been out of the bath for, probably 25 minutes or so, you'll still see that they're bubbling. And that gives you an idea of just the difference in the temperature of how hot pressure canning is compared to hot water bath canning. But this will ensure that all the ingredients are going to be perfectly preserved. Now, you'll also notice that the tops of the jars where the indentation at the top, or at the time when you can, is the protrusion. And as soon as they begin to cool, they'll be pulled down by the vacuum seal and will make that pop sound. This will happen fairly immediately after removing them from the pressure canning. It's just the extremes in the temperature, the difference. But you'll see how they're still bubbling. And but you know you've succeeded because these have already done their thing. They all have the same tinny sound when you wrap them. And so there's some fresh vegetable beef soup. That's how it's done. Well, there it is, the final product. If you'll notice, now that the jars have had a chance to cool overnight, that the ingredients are now, you know, have moved back up more to the, you know, consistency it should be in the jars, because they're incredibly hot. Like I say, they push all the solids down and the liquids are separated at the top, but once it cools down, everything kind of mixes back up. But everything is definitely sealed tight. And if you notice, my lovely wife Joyce managed to write the dates that this was prepared on here, and that ensures that you know how long you have. You need to try to eat anything that you've canned like this. You know, you try to do this, eat it in a year, because after a year it starts losing its the vitamins and nutrients in the food. And you just, even though in all probability this stuff will last, you know, several years, you don't want to eat anything that's questionable. Here in the South, we have an expression that you'll hear quite often people will say, and it is applicable in a lot of cases, and it's pretty is as pretty does. And the reason I bring this up is a few years ago, you know, my uncle stopped by when I was not expecting him to, and I wound up just fawning over everything going on in the kitchen, just apologizing about my house, just, you know, the mess it was in, and how everything looked. And I think I had just got through with breakfast. And when I make breakfast, I mean, I do it up. I ate bacon, eggs, sausage, biscuits, and, you know, the whole works. And of course, whenever you really do that, you wind up with one heck of a mess to clean up. And it was somewhere in between the time of eating breakfast and cleaning it up that he dropped in, and I just felt so bad. I thought, man, you know, I don't want you to have to see this. And he looked at me and he told me something that it will always stick to me, with me, and I never really thought it before. Is he said, I don't know, I live in my house, and there's a lot to be said for that, because back in the late 80s and early 90s, I was a contractor in a major city. I'm not going to say where it was, but anyhow, I noticed a lot of people was adding, you know, a lot of people that had money, that was adding these gourmet kitchens to their homes. They were upgrading. They were putting in, you know, maple hardwood cabinets, granite countertops, stainless steel, you know, kitchen, you know, restaurant quality refrigerators and stoves, and, you know, they had Cephalon pots and pans hanging around the island that they had in the kitchen, and all the wonderful things, the wine racks. And really what these people would do, I don't mean to be critical, because hey, if you got it, you know, go for it, but a lot of times they ordered Chinese carryout, or they went out to dinner, and it was really just, you know, for show. And one thing I will say is my home is not a museum. I don't treat it as such, and I mess my kitchen up daily. I mean, I just literally tear it up, and I have to clean it up, and it is a job, but that's what it's about. And yes, I have a lawn, and I cut my grass, but I also have a garden, and I till that dirt, and I get out there, and I plant my vegetables, because I'm going to make it useful to me, you know, make it to where I can get the most out of it. And that's what life is about, getting the most out of it as each day goes by. Make every day count, because I'll tell you, in the end, when you leave this world, you know, you're not gonna be able to take your skin and bones with you when you get down to it. So, hey, you know, enjoy it. Do what you can, and enjoy good food, and enjoy also how to grow it, because there's a lot of pleasure that can be derived and a lot of feeling of accomplishment when you do things with your own hands. You know, and you can get back and sit back and reap the rewards. Keep your canned foods in an area that is cool and dry and above 50 degrees Fahrenheit. You always want to make sure that area is dark. It's a good idea to take the boxes that the jars came in and put your canned food back in those boxes, and closing the flaps of the box and putting them in an area that's above 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Make sure it's dark, because light will rob your food of vitamins, and so will heat. Just to let you know that there are many things that you can do when it comes to canning. This is just a couple of things that I do, and you know, just kind of a guideline of how to do it, but don't just do everything the way I do it, because the people that manufacture the canning jars and all of your canning equipment, well, universities have done extensive studies on how to preserve food, and these are the experts. I'm just a professional amateur guy, and you really need to, if you really want to get involved in this, and I highly recommend it, because it's not only enjoyable, or, you know, you can consider it an art. You know, it's a good way to save a lot of money, but it doesn't hurt to go on ahead and invest in the proper equipment, and go on ahead and purchase you a couple of books, because they're excellent guidelines that are going to tell you how to do all kinds of good foods, and how to store them, you know, jellies or fresh vegetables, beans, chilies, all kinds of stuff. So use these books and study them carefully, and go, you know, and use their guidelines on how to do things. Everybody kind of tweaks it a little bit to their liking, but once again, my method is not always going to be your method, and the books are going to be your best way to go. And once again, I hope you enjoyed, you know, doing this you know, process with me, and hope to be doing more. And thank you for watching. This is the Professional Amateur Guy.